So we were discussing modernization of business as a trend, and we covered a part of it in the last week. So today we are going to complete this chapter. Now, we already discussed about modernization. Modernization means there is a shift, a major change from the past, how the businesses were being conducted. The change takes place at a very strategic level, and there is a complete complete overhaul of the system. So that's called modernization. Normally, when we learn or talk about modernization, tahdith, when you search for it, you will see that most of the times modernization relates to IT, technology. But that is one type of modernization. There can be other type of modernizations as well, like change in culture or values, personality. So as we saw in the case of REI, opt out, here we saw it was not a technology change. It was not something like modernization in terms of technology or some new campaign, but it was a change brought, or modernization was done in terms of the value of the people. People wanted a change, a break from the old system. So the change can also take place, modernization change can also take place at the level of personality or value, and it can be an institutional change, that there is an overhaul of the complete institution. They don't hire any new technology, or they keep the same people. There is no change in, but they change in the way they used to do business. They start approaching in a different way, as we can see in the banks, in the banking sector. There is a complete modernization. It started with technology, then there was a change in the value system in banking, and now we are seeing that the institution is changing completely. In fact, to the extent that there is a lot of discussion going on regarding open banking system. Open banking, that is completely branchless banking. One second. So that's an institutional change, that's a modernization, keeping in mind the new generation open banking system. So this is an institutional modernization, a complete change in the way businesses were done, organizations used to function. Okay, before I proceed further, do you have any information about the midterm exam and classes? I received one message on the college group regarding from the Ministry of Education, Wizarat al-Talim, but I have not been able to understand well. So do you know what the message is? Are we going to continue online, or the classes will be now regular in the college? Do you have any idea? Let's just see, because I tried to okay, this entire semester will be from home. So that means this means that we are going to continue with the midterm exam also will be online. Oh, the exams, every university have the right to choose. Okay. Midterm as well as final exam. Okay. Let's see how it goes. If it is college exam, then that will be very difficult, because with social distancing. But in some universities I heard that they have taken they took offline exams in college in 2 sittings in paper exam. So let's see what our university decides. So we'll wait for the decision. Okay, so but it's good that we continue with online classes, because only in the next semester it's better to start in a new way. Okay, so we learned in the last week about modernization, that it is a strategic change in a company for better. It takes place at the level of technology or values, personality or institution. And why modernization is done, when will a company decide to modernize, to change for better? When any or all of these objectives are met. Number one, there is an increase in revenue. A business will not do anything just for the sake of doing. For any business, the first and the foremost question is whether this decision is going to get us more benefits or not, right? That's the first target. The second is, if the revenue is not coming, by modernization, is the company able to reduce the costs? And thirdly, increase share price. Now, each of them are very important, they are in itself, they are in themselves very important objectives: revenue, costs or share price. Now, this share price is a much more elaborate issue than just revenue and costs, because there are many cases when the company is doing well, but just because there is a bad news about a company, the share prices go down. So, share price have become a sort of a very important measurement of the company performance, because the people are buying and selling the shares of a company based on the expectation on how it will do. So, more people will like to buy the shares of a company when they know that this company is going to, for example, if a company is going to start a business, for example, Souk has a is listed in a stock market and it is selling its shares. As soon as there is an information that Amazon is going to buy Souk, people will either sell it fast, or they will buy more shares because Amazon will increase its value. So, this share price is also one of the reasons why the companies are taking decisions to change. So, it may be either revenue or costs or share price, and we did go through the definition also in the last week, that the modernization means improving current business processes to better support organizational objectives. These are the organizational objectives, any or all. Okay, so and that's what strategic management people do. They define the objective for the company. What is our short term and long term? So, normally the long term objective decides the short term objective. And what is a common name for the long term objective of a company, which is written in one line in every company? Do you know what is the name? There is a term. Normally all companies, they use this term to tell this is what we want to be after 10 years or 15 years, a long term plan. So, every good company has this statement, which is the long term objective, which decides the long term objective. Do you know what is the name for that thing? Yeah, it is no, the process Amalia is strategic planning, but after the strategic planning is successful, what comes out? They result in deciding on the long term objective for the company. What is that long term objective called? Have you heard something around like vision? So every company has a vision statement, right? So all companies, when they have a proper strategic management, after the strategic planning is being done, the first thing they want to do is to write the company's vision statement. Now what is vision? Vision is to be the market leader. Arruya, yes, Arruya. It's a long term plan for the company, where the company wants to be. So this vision and mission and the long term objectives may require a complete change in the processes. So for example, we were not doing it. Now is the time robotics will come in. You will have to automate. Some 30-40 years ago or 50 years ago, when automation, earlier the work was being done by manually, but then machines came in and lot of works got transferred from men to machine. So we can see today, many things are being done by machines which were earlier done by men. So why did company decide to do that? And you must be aware that there are many cases, people in places where there are trade unions like Europe, they agitated, they went against the company's decisions to modernize, but they did because it was the demand of the time. So now we will see more automation, more entry of drones and manless cars. I was just seeing some news about Amazon's plan to deliver. It will have its own manless automobiles, manless vehicles. So these will be all done by computers. They will be computerized, handled by computers. They will run on their own. They don't need drivers. So it will complete the supply chain process for Amazon. So the companies will have to modernize. They will have to compete with other companies, and they will have to change and modernize as per their organizational objective if they want to survive. Otherwise, what will happen? They will meet the same fate as Nokia or many other companies, General Motors, Ford. They had a very tough time, when Toyota came. So this is modernization. And we also saw in the last class that modernization means what? Normally it is in terms of IT modernization. So what they do, they change the technology, but more than IT, it is the business modernization. It is the change in technology to support the business processes like production, customer service, customer relationship, all of these. So it depends on what level of modernization is required by the company. But in general, most of the times we will see that modernization is mainly concerned with the technology modernization. Okay, so these things, we already completed in the last week. So let's begin, with again, with the main trends which are going to trends, because that's our course. So the main trends in modernization that is going to take place or is shaping up now, which there are people who are called futurologists. There are people who are called futurologists. These people are not astrologers. These people do not predict. Astrologers, in what is that called? These people, there are people who Nujum, Ilmun Nujum, what they do, the astronomy, they used to predict that this will be the situation. It's not like that. Futurologists are experts who predict, who predict that this is going to happen based on their analysis. It's not a vague prediction on the basis of some the astronomy or stars, no, but it is on the basis of the trends. Some famous futurologists are there, like Noam Chomsky. His book is very famous, Noam Chomsky. Then John Naisbitt. John Naisbitt wrote a book many years ago. I don't remember, global mega trends. If I am not wrong, just check it. Global mega trends. He predicted several things about the world to come. Then there was a book written by called The World is Flat, in which it was not a futurology book, but it predicted that the current situation is mainly shaping around 10 flatteners of the world: outsourcing, open sourcing, 9/11, etc., etc. So there were 10 main features which were guiding the world at that time. It's an old book now, 2001, I think it was published, 2000 or 2001. Then he wrote another book called Lexus and the Olive Tree. So these are people. Okay, another very interesting name, some of you must have heard, if I am not wrong, Jeffrey Archer. Jeffrey Archer, or the person who used to write science fictions, and I mean many years ago he wrote books, fictions, which became true. He used to write science fictions, became true, and that is why he is also a type of futurologist, because in his novels, in fictions, he used to predict this is going to happen in future. Anyway, so the trends which analysts feel is going to pick up, and which you people who are going to be future managers very soon, you have to be aware and be prepared to take on and adopt to this situation, to adopt the trends. If you happen to work in a company who is not modernizing, then you may be the lead. You start your own business, you have to be prepared to follow this. Okay, so cloud based solutions, real time marketing, automation for daily tasks, electronic signature for a better environment, custom APIs, that means application programming interface, employee communication, and taking measures against potential cyber attacks. Now these are the 10 major trends which are going to be become a mainstream. These are done by some companies, cloud based solutions some companies are doing, but this is going to become a mainstream, like how we saw in COVID time last year. Everybody was forced to use contactless payment system, to wear masks, to sanitize their hands. It was forced, but in time to come it is possible that everyone becomes very much health conscious, and it becomes a norm. That's modernization. You have to change your culture. So the companies will have mandatory temperature checks, and we have to also wear masks, because masks are not new. Masks were there in which countries? They were very health conscious. Which countries? They used to wear masks and gloves much earlier than COVID was there. Do you know the countries where they are very concerned about hygiene for a very long time? Any idea? Have you read or seen anything like this? People in those countries have been very conscious about health, hygiene, and that's the reason people say, the doctors are saying, in those places the rate of infection has been very low. Which are those countries? The Southeast Asian nations, Japan, Philippines, North Korea, then Vietnam. Such countries, not North Korea, South Korea, South Korea. So those countries, that part of the world, they have been culturally very, in fact Japanese people, they are very much concerned about hygiene. So they have been wearing masks in public, they have been wearing gloves in public, they were always, they don't like to shake hands, but they like to bow. So they were doing this. So it is possible, that becomes a trend. So let's start with one by one. So these are the major trends which I identified. There may be 1000 trends, but by collecting several information, I thought these 10 are enough to keep in mind, and you can keep reading on them, because as I told you, there is no textbook on this topic on this course which you can keep, and the only thing you have to do is you have to be aware about reading. You have to read Harvard Business Review, then you have to watch CNBC, CNN, and you have to keep doing that on a daily basis, and have a journal or a diary in which you keep maintaining the news, and then you can easily, in fact, a manager without information will not succeed, last too much. So students have to be aware about what is going on in no matter in which language, whether it is English or Arabic or Spanish or French, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is how aware the manager is. So people, like for example, you Bill Gates, he used to, when on LinkedIn sometimes ago, he used to tell which book is he reading now, the 10 books it's on his reading list in the next year. So you have to, you will have to read, you will have to be aware about what is going on in climate change, in corona, in energy, so on. So let's look at these 10 which I found the most talked about in the various areas. So the first is cloud based solution. What is okay, let's go one by one. Cloud based solution. The cloud based solution, as we discussed in the last class, that it is moving the storage of the data from servers to somewhere centralized in the where it can be accessed easily and retrievable. It is a service. Sometimes there will be cloud based service providers who will provide this storage facility, or big companies like Amazon have their own cloud storage. And what are the benefits? As we last time we discussed it, security is an issue, means it provides solution against phishing or cyber attacks, then ease of access, and then it can be accessed from any device. It is held in somewhere in other platform, so that it can be easily accessed from any device. It is very accessible and in line with the new technology. So many companies have already moved to cloud based solution. They are buying spaces from cloud service providers. Amazon is a leading name in this trend, and there are many companies. So now it's up to you. You read more and see which companies are using cloud based solutions and how are they doing it. Secondly, real time marketing. Real time marketing means the time when we used to show advertisements, or we collect data from the market and then analyze, and then we used to find what is the need of the market. It's gone. Today, in the age of social media, which has become a part of our lives, almost the entire developed countries, the developing countries, the rich high income developing countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Kuwait. So these countries, and in many developing countries like the BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India and China, what has happened is there is a huge massive penetration of internet in these countries, because of which the social media has become a part of life. And with social media, what is the main feature? What do you say? What is the main feature in social media? which was not there earlier. What we do actually in Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. So there are there are micro social media, micro blogs, social media as micro networking sites, and there are full online social networking sites. Twitter is a micro network site, whereas there are full networking sites like LinkedIn, Facebook. So what we do actually on social media, fast communication. Yes, that is what they started with, instant messaging. It started with some companies, they first tried instant messaging. In fact, Apple used to do this much earlier than social media came. Apple brought this feature, but it was limited to Apple users, Apple family, the FaceTime and Apple messaging. But then it became a trend through Facebook. Facebook actually changed the way it was done. The other name which resulted in this real time data collection was Google, which was earlier than Facebook. What they did, they worked on the search engine. Their main philosophy was to use the browsed data, and that is what they did, because these people, Google founders, they found that billions of search and billions of traffic is moving in the web network, and people are lost. If they are trying to find some information, it's absolutely impossible to find the correct information easily. So from there they found this need, that why not start a search engine where people can search for their information. So in fact Google is not producing anything, they are just using our own search history to create the results for others. So it's actually like a cloud, open source. Open source means all the world people are contributing to this particular action, and with that it became so hit and really changed lives, because it became very easy for us. And then there was search engine optimization, which used to create a list of what we are searching for, and they used to tell this is, and based on the search history they were also able to know our consumer, as a consumer, what we need, what is our behavior. So this became very important tool for the companies to know and advertise, to create products, and to understand consumers in a better way. So it all started with Google. Google started selling their results to the companies by ads, and then when Facebook came, Facebook also is using the same, and now there are hundreds, millions of companies who are doing the same thing. So instead of using the old generation marketing intelligence system, now most of the companies are relying on real time data collection. The old generation marketing system is there, information system is there. The salespeople who go to the market, they certainly report their findings from the market. Then the market research is also being conducted, but at the same time this is an additional tool in the intelligence system, which is now becoming very active and popular. That is the real time marketing, especially with the introduction of big data, very advanced computing, data analysis softwares. So these have made very easy for companies to understand the consumer demands. So that's the second trend. So companies will have to cope with this. You will have to find some ways to use this trend in order to compete in the market. Third, automation for daily tasks. Automation for daily tasks, what does it mean? And it has already begun. The trial has already started. For example, in the hospitals, there is always a shortage of doctors, because doctors cannot be everywhere and there are few experts. So through 5G they are testing if the doctors can perform their tasks remotely. You are understanding? They are already testing this application, that whether the doctors can perform their tasks remotely. That means they are not present at the site. They will be using some device through robotics. They will instruct or do the operation remotely, and through the technology, the fast mode of communication, fast technology, the other side, the robot or the machine will be able to perform the task. So, this is an automation for daily task. Immigration, we know immigration is a routine operation. Every time a person lands at an airport or person passes through airport to board the flight, he has to go through immigration. Now, immigration in Dubai, you must have heard that Dubai has already introduced the manless immigration system. You know, have you heard of it? They already tested it. It's already there in some of the airports. They have tested it. Manless immigration. You don't need to check with any human being. You can just pass on. For example, this immigration started with your own origin, and then from there, through biometric, I am not aware about the entire system, but the fact is they tested it, and many countries are doing it. So, it is automation. So, it used to we need to have people, they are sitting there, then people have their own weaknesses, that they will get tired, they will rest, they cannot work all time uniformly. So, those problems are sorted out in an automated system. So, people can board fast, and so in the business, many tasks which were accounting is a routine operation. It can be completely automated. We don't need human beings to do that. In production, there will be many things which can be automated. So, that's the third thing, daily tasks will be automated. More and more companies, in fact, if we want to survive, because over a period of time, when we buy something, there is a cost, but this cost, over a period of time, it is recovered. So, we recover the cost over a period of time. As and when the time passes, the number of operations it performs, based on that, the cost goes down. So, in few years, this cost that the company bear will result in higher profits in some years. So, that is the third trend. Fourth, what will happen is, people will not need to use papers. That is already a trend, but it will become widespread. No need for even plastic cards, and we are seeing that, isn't it? Now, the Saudi government has, Wizaarat al-Dakhliya has introduced Upshir ID, digital ID, right? So, what does it mean? Digital ID, your Huiya, Watani or Iqama. We don't need to carry the card now. See, you can just have the your ID on the mobile phone, Huiya Raqmiya. So, you need to just upload it, use the Upshir app, and then that Huiya on your mobile phone is enough. So, what does it mean? Electronic signature, paperless transaction will become a norm, because papers are a concern for environment friendly companies, because for papers we have to cut trees. Companies are not willing, companies, there are many people, like you must have heard that after Joe Biden has taken over as the US president, he has returned to the Paris Climate Accord, right? Are you aware about that? President Trump, the past president, he came out of the campaign, the Climate Accord. What is this Climate Accord? This is, this is the concern of the world regarding the pollution, regarding the safety of the environment, in which pollution is number one, the carbon pollution through petrol. So they are finding, there are research going on, people, all the countries are, promising that we are going to cut carbon emission. In fact, UK is going to tax people on how much they drive. Parking rates are increased in many European countries in order to cut down the pollution. Carbon tax. Have you heard about carbon tax? Anyone? No? Carbon tax? No? What is carbon tax? Anyone knows? They are, in fact, apart from carbon tax, they are adding more taxes so that driving will become costly. You know this? Anyone in the class knows what carbon tax is? The companies, the countries, the governments are charging people on how much they drive. Why are they doing this? Because the more the tax, driving will be difficult. And here also in Saudi, the trend is very soon we will have buses, public transport system, so that, and public transport system less carbon emission, environment friendly, because when we have public transport, we don't need to drive for long distances through our cars, in fact mainly in the cities. So we will have public transport, we will use them, that will save the fuel and pollution. So this is, the European countries, the Western countries, they have already started taxing the cars, that if you drive this much you have to pay. So this will become so costly, and parking has become very costly in the Western countries. So means what? We cannot take out our cars for a long time. If you park, you have to pay. So the parking will become so costly, people will like to avoid their own vehicles. So this is what environment friendliness is a trend. Every company, whether it is a small or big, small business enterprises or large corporates, they will have to do something to protect the environment. If you don't do that, there will be government pressure and there will be pressure from customers. Customers will also not buy your product. Suppose there is a these days in corona, social distancing is there, the government is so concerned, every time we are getting a message we should keep social distance, and the customers go and see in a hotel that people are mixing and they are enjoying and dancing, they are all together, there is no social distance. What will happen? The hotel will lose customers, not because of they were not providing the service well, but because the customers became very environment conscious. They felt that this hotel is not responsible, they are irresponsible hotels. So the customers will also enforce environment friendliness on the companies. So you have to check out for that. As a future manager, we have to read more on how we can become environment friendliness. Right now, companies are doing their own bit, like banks. When they send us emails, at the bottom, in the bottom the email they write, if you don't need to print, please don't, something like that. So most of the companies, when they send us corporate emails, they are telling us not to print unless it is required. Why? Because when you print, you need paper, so please don't waste paper. Then then comes the 7th, 2 to 4, 5th. 5th is the custom APIs. This will be another trend, apps, and we are seeing so many apps, Tawakkalna, Itamarna, Ta'abbud. Companies, every company, Mobileys, and all of them have their apps. Why? Because apps gives flexibility, it's less costly, and it is more friendly to the customers, to the users. So that's another trend. If you want to be successful in a business, there has to be your own apps, and for that there will be specialized companies who will make it for us. So we need to have this follow this trend also, to have custom APIs for our own companies. Employee communication has changed. Employee communication has changed, and there is a small case study on employee communication. We will just see and understand how it has changed. Then last is the cyber attacks. Every company, as and when the more digitalization takes place, the more there is a threat on security, in cyber security, security of data. So there are, and on one hand, when digitization helps improve cost, service, on the other hand, there are people who are ready to attack, to at the minimum they can take our credit card information, they can steal important information, they can withdraw money without our knowledge, they can attack the company's accounts. So that's something every manager has to know, that this is a reality and we have to face it. So for this there are measures, there are antivirus, protection, and we need to know what are those, what should we buy to protect ourselves. We should not be careless. This is a trend which is there, and we have to cope with this trend. If we don't do that, we will lose everything. For example, in UK, they lost a lot of information, and then they had to inform the all their customers to change their passwords. Why? Because of cyber attacks. So even a small or big companies, right from the day one, you start working, be aware of this problem, the cyber attacks, and we have to take measures to protect ourselves. So the modernization will give us flexibility. Now there is a very important interesting information. If you have read this you would have opened this link. You see that if you click this link, you will see it's a very interesting article about emails. Emails have replaced the traditional paper mails, letters, for many years, but now there is a new trend that employee communication will be done not by emails anymore. There will be something else, and that's what his prediction is. Why is it so? Because and what is going to replace it? People are not able to keep up with emails. In fact, they are now trying to use more of instant messaging, social media, public social media, or their own company networks. One of them is Slack. Slack is an application. You can see here, this is Slack. Now Slack is an application, is a company which provides a network in a communication facility, very flexible and easy communication facility among employees of a company. It is safe and it is accessible by employees anytime, anywhere, and the message recording is also done in a different way, not like emails. So this is a trend. We have to understand that the communication will change in future. It will no more be emails. So we have to look for this. This is just picking up. We have to see how in our company, in fact it has changed. In means I hardly receive emails in our college. We are doing all our transactions on WhatsApp, every message, and for our classes also. I don't think many of you even read your emails, the institutional email. It's long story, it's a long history. We stopped seeing emails. So it's gone. Why we don't use emails now? Because emails are difficult to access. It's not so easy. The reason why mobiles have become so handy and as a part of our daily life, it comes very instantly to us, And then, for example, I have emerging trends group. When a message comes on that group, I know that this is related to emerging trends. These are the students, this is what I have to inform. So it has become very flexible, but of course there is an issue with WhatsApp. And when you are buying a free free app, there are issues, because there was a news that Facebook is not going to take back the policy of data sharing. They have said that they have just postponed. In May they are going to launch it, so they will not withdraw. So that means we'll have to move from WhatsApp to some other more secured platform like Signal or whatever. We don't know what the university decides. Right now they are not sharing the data. So maybe something like Slack or some university system will be there, should be there, not would be, it should be there, that we are able, you can, if you are related to people who are in those authorities, you should inform them that we should have our own secured messaging system, which are offered by companies like Slack, and many other companies are there, so that we are safe. We are not giving our details to anyone else. Right now we are open, anybody can read, anybody can steal, hack, because WhatsApp is an open platform. They say that it's secured completely, but it's free. So nothing is free. That means they are reading our mails, they are reading our messages. So there should be, we have to, at least as a manager of the company, future manager, we should know that we should have to change our communication system. Okay, do you have anything to add to it? I think somebody is writing, so let's hear. You want to say something? You want to add something to it? Do you agree, all of you, that emails are obsolete now? And even in companies, emails have lost the importance they used to have, isn't it? Aman is agreeing, true. And the second point that I said, it's very important yes, you are right, Aman is right and Salman is right. In formal way, it's important that you are getting an appointment letter, it is done through emails. So they will stay, but not 100%. We need some alternative form of communication also, like we are doing in WhatsApp right now. So this has taken a place which was not there earlier. So instant communication system should be there, and we have to inform, we have to take this matter to university, that we should not rely too much on WhatsApp or free softwares. We should have our own university communication system. It's a must, because it's you must be getting messages from Wizaratul Talim every now and then, that we should not share our passwords, we should not click on links. Why? Because there are a lot of concerns. There are many types of people in the world who are whose job is to do evil, to hack, to read other messages, etc. So for protecting that, it's important that we have our own communication system protected by the company firewalls. Okay, so Slack is a company I just wanted to introduce to you. Then now come to the last part of the lecture, 10 minutes more about the trends. There is a very good report by Dell company. They wanted to know what are the trends in modernization across, and this report is available on their site, but we are just going to discuss a part of it, the important points, and with that we will stop. This is enough for you to have the data about the trends, and I am sure you will not forget. I am sure that you will keep remembering them and updating yourself, and the group is always active. Even the semester is over, I always expect that the students will keep adding to the knowledge as long as my number remains the same. That means I am here, I will keep receiving the information from the students. Okay, so Dell Boomi report 2020, 1,200 businesses and IT, they conducted a survey to know which companies are actively modernizing their current business processes. It's a very good report, so just pay attention for 10 minutes. Look at this first. I have just taken the most important parts. So first of all, which companies are modernizing by industry? So what you see, the trend in total, you can look here at the top. These are the colors. The dark blue, we are not actively doing, and they are not modernizing. Then red, we are in the early stages of modernizing. Then we are almost finished, they have already modernized. And the sky blue, we have finished actively doing this. These companies have completely modernized. So in total, if we look at the figure here, 5% of the companies, this is a survey report, and a very good survey, because they conducted it in 19 countries, across 19 countries, in different companies, different sectors, 1,200 business. So it's a very credible report, right? So please pay attention. So here we see that very small percentage of companies have not modernized, or they are not doing it. Every company is doing the modernization. 35% are in the early stages, that means they are picking up. 28% have already finished, almost finished, and 32% have already finished actively. They have done it, it's over, they have modernized, and they are in a new type, they are now working in a new way. They may have modernized in terms of technology or institution or their value culture. But these 60%, yani more than half of the world companies are changing, are modernizing. On what? On the trends that we just discussed. And some are changing technology, some are changing into cloud. So they are making some changes. Now look at the sector wise: retail, higher education, manufacturing, healthcare, life sciences, finance, insurance, public sector. So let's look at the last figures. Now here you see, in retail 52% are almost modernized. In the higher education, we see, it's 34 and 25, 59%. Again, more than half the universities and colleges have modernized. Then manufacturing, it's 65%, huge. It's logical, because manufacturing companies have to do it fast, because they have to automate. Robotics will come first to the manufacturing companies. Then comes the healthcare. In healthcare, it's again more than half the companies have modernized. In life sciences, biology, medical sciences, the life sciences, drugs, healthcare, drugs, the manufacturing of pharmacy, here it's 74%. It's the complete, because the drug testing, the drug industry, the pharmaceutical has to be modern. It has to keep up with the modern trends, with the automation, with the new types of scientific inventions. Otherwise, they cannot survive. So life sciences have 74%. Finance, it's 65%. Finance companies, banks, insurance is separately, banks, mutual funds, stock market. Then insurance, again 56%. And in public sector, it's 58%. So now you see, such is the rate of modernization in companies. That means if we don't modernize, we don't follow the trends, and we don't change, we will be lost. We will lose the battle. We will not be able to compete in the market. Then next is, this is the summary: health, education, modern manufacturing, finance and life sciences, they are the most modernized of all the. Now, they asked what is the benefit to modernize. Only few managers, just 1%, said that there is no benefit of modernization, but most of them said that they are modernizing in order to improve the customer experience. Modernization is important to improve the customer experience. Then adopting new technologies, reducing operational costs. So these are the extension of what we already saw. What are the reasons for modernization? So last point regarding this topic is that, yeah, it's all good, we should modernize, we should do cloud computing, automation, buy our own communication system. But is it possible for all the companies? No, it's not possible, because number one is the budgetary challenge, money. Every company doesn't have the resource to modernize, to follow the trends. They have to be limited in their expenditure. So that's first challenge. And the second is people don't have the knowledge to do that, because this requires knowledge, information, because it has to come from the top management, the manager who will lead. So you now know that these are the trends, then you will initiate this in your company. Once you initiate, then only the change will take place. But if you don't have any knowledge, you just keep on doing the same production, selling and making money, then you don't have the knowledge to lead, to take the company to the next stage. So top management must have the knowledge. Because of the lack of knowledge also, modernization is not possible. So that's it. I'll stop the recording. I'll upload it.